I am a certified ostomy nurse, and I have been for in this role about a year now, working as an ostomy nurse. Prior to this, actually, I was a GI nurse working in endoscopy, so both sides of the condition. I think it's not hard to conclude that my condition and my ostomy led me to want to work with patients that have these conditions. I think it's very fulfilling and rewarding to come in contact with other people that are like me. Again, that's the reassurance part. I really enjoy seeing patients that have kind of gone through what I've gone through. But ever since I actually had my first GI nurse in the hospital, I've been like, that's what I wanna do. Like, I wanna be her. And she was this little Filipino lady who worked in a big military hospital, and she was so blunt. And at times I did not like her for that, but it definitely shaped me into what I wanted to do. So I got my bachelor's in nursing. I made a plan. I was like, "I'm going to do this by this time at this date." I knew I wanted to be in the GI field, but since I had an ostomy, I was leaning more towards ostomy patients who don't necessarily always get an ostomy for IBD reasons. So I worked as a nurse for 1 year. I actually went into endoscopy and worked there for 2 years. Absolutely loved it. Loved the procedural part of it. And then went back to school to get my certifications for wound, ostomy, and continence nursing. And then I ended up getting a job at my hospital working with inpatients, from neonates to geriatric population who have ostomies for a plethora of reasons. But it's been very rewarding and very fulfilling.
And so right now in your current position, take us through a day in the life of Leah. What is it that you do? What are your responsibilities?
So, as an ostomy nurse, I do have like a list of patients. We, believe it or not, there are at least two patients getting an ostomy a day. So we will have ostomy patients that are straight out of the OR, day one post op, who we have to go and say, hey, this is your life now. This is how you live with an ostomy. And so we see patients from post op day one up until they're discharged, and we teach them the basics of ostomy care, how to live day to day, how to change their bag, how to empty their bag, how to adjust their diet and hydration around having an ostomy. And we see them up until discharge. And then, unfortunately, I don't get to see the post op, but there are patients every day that, I see, or I see in the future that come back and they're like, yeah, I'm dealing with it just fine. Like it ended up being, no big deal. There's definitely patients that don't handle it that way, and it is very hard. I did have one particular patient that did not have an ostomy for IBD reasons, but nevertheless was a huge change in their life. And I think the connotation around ostomies is so negative usually, that it is an even bigger adjustment when you have that mindset to having an ostomy. But he made such an incredible turnaround, being able to help people accept this as part of their life and their day to day, and say, hey, like, it's you can take a break. Like, this is a lot of information. This is a lot that you're going through. You have other things to worry about, but we're for this hour, we're gonna focus on this and then continue your day to day. So it's really just a lot of emotional support as well as physical and like educational support.